Hi everyone, it's meteorologist Terry Swails here on tswails.com, and this is your weather briefing for Tuesday, January 24th. And see that guy there riding along on his old horsey there? That was me this morning, except for I was on my John Deere tractor blazing through the yard checking out my livestock. Saw a couple of snakes out there today, a raccoon. Of course, I got my two cats and the hamster here in the house. So everything has been attended to today. The livestock has been fed and everyone is nice and happy around the Swails Ranch. And we're also pretty thrilled with our weather today. You can see that there's actually two branches of the jet stream that are impacting the weather around the Midwest. One comes pretty much west to east across the country. It's now trying to tap into a little bit of moisture out there through the plain states. Eventually that'll become more pronounced and become a part of our forecast. Also, there's another branch that's coming in from the north there across Minnesota and northern Wisconsin, and that's tugging down slightly cooler and drier air today, and we've been feeling that and actually been enjoying some pretty pleasant weather. In fact, you look at the satellite of the Midwest, you can see from eastern Iowa and western Illinois up into southern Minnesota and Wisconsin, some excellent weather conditions today with sunshine, a few fair weather cumulus clouds, but overall lots of sunshine and nice temperatures to enjoy with the humidity levels beaten back just a little bit. And I want to talk about the MJO, the Madden-Julian Oscillation. Disturbances that move through the southern oscillation and go through the tropics often dictate the type of weather that we're going to see here in the Midwest and actually all around the country as far as that goes. But I've got a couple of different models that indicate where this is expected to go. And the first one you're looking at here is our United States model, or NICEP, and it shows the Madden-Julian oscillation going into phase 1. Now phase 1 is actually correlated with temperatures that tend to be warmer around the middle of the country. I'm going to show you another model here, which is actually the European model, and it has the Madden-Julian oscillation going into phase 6. That's an entirely opposite direction, and it is also a much cooler phase. In fact, we'll take you to the correlation of the temperatures here, and you can see up there with the phase 1 in the upper left portion of the screen, that's where temperatures tend to be warm across the upper Midwest, where if you go into phase 6 there, temperatures are substantially cooler. So there's a big model discrepancy going on here as to what's going to happen long term with our temperatures, but as far as I'm concerned, I think it's going to go more towards the cool end of things, and if I was to pick a model in this whole scenario, I'm going with the European, and this is what its 500 millibar chart looks like on July 4th, and this is something I've been alluding to for several days. It has a pocket of cool air moving across the Midwest. The jet stream is getting kind of cut off, and so that's going to be sluggish to move across the country, so it does appear to me that we're going into a cooler regime temperature-wise by the 4th of July. And if this model was to verify, I wouldn't expect to see temperatures out of the 70s, could even be a few showers scattered about the area for the 4th. But it's still a long ways away, but I'm seeing trends now that would indicate cooler temperatures back in the Midwest just in time for the holiday. Meantime, I wanted to talk about this rain event that's expected to set up shop over the upper Midwest once again. This is going to be late this week and into the upcoming weekend, maybe Monday of next week. Last night I showed you a chart which had some tremendous amounts of rain up around Minneapolis. The GFS model, which showed that last night, has backed off some and moved it a little further south, but it's still showing a pretty good quarter of 2 to 4, maybe 5-inch rains across northern Iowa up into Wisconsin and Minnesota. And again, that region has just been pounded with heavy rains, and the grounds are saturated, and that amount of rainfall in a short period of time would eventually continue to cause the threat of some flash flooding and some rises on area rivers, and again something that needs to be watched closely in the days ahead. Here I'm switching over to the European model, and it's kind of showing the same thing. It does have the heavier rains displaced a little bit further south into Iowa and eastern Wisconsin, but the bottom line here is that I do anticipate another significant rainfall event somewhere along or north of Interstate 80 as we get towards the weekend and into early next week. And here you can see there's some spots with over 4 inches of rain up there in north central Iowa. In fact, nearly 5 inches in that little brown spot that you're seeing there, which would be north of Ames or south of Mason City, Iowa. So I'm thinking that the prospects for heavy rainfall are definitely out there once again as we get into the 5 to 7 day period, and that certainly could cause some more problems with flash flooding, severe weather, and perhaps some more rises on area rivers in eastern Iowa and western Illinois, and of course up into Minnesota and Wisconsin, where flooding conditions are currently underway. We'll be watching that scenario very closely. Meantime, I'm going to get the tractor back out and hunt down some jackalopes. I've been invaded by jackalopes in my yard here. These things are awfully messy. I hate cleaning up after them, so I'm going to try and drive those out of here. Actually, I don't live too far from the nuclear power plant, so I'm wondering if that has something to do with the horns and the overall size of these things. But boy, at night you should hear them singing out there, almost like coyotes. Well, anyway, that is your weather briefing here for your Tuesday. And hopefully you're out and enjoying the day. It's beautiful out there and should stay that way for a couple more days before the active weather pattern returns to the Midwest. So thanks for joining us here on Swails.com, and watch out for those jackalopes, and as I always say, roll weather.